Yuko has asked me to talk about teen dating, and in particular, abuse or violence that can be surrounding teen dating. So I have a 16-year-old son, and unfortunately, he's not dating yet. So I don't have any personal experience in this, except, you know, being a teenager myself. So, you know, I'm really curious to learn all this material. So I feel I'm learning along with all of you. And I know Yuko has a teenager, so she has a lot invested. Zaraya has kids all different ages. And Akiko also has teenagers. And Fatima, you don't look like you're much older than a teenager. So, so I hope this will be useful for us as parents and caregivers, but also if you're a teenager or if you're a young person, really for anyone. I found a lot of this information really useful. If you're coming from an abusive relationship, it's very valuable. If you are a child who's been with parents who have been abusive between themselves, it's very useful. So, so that said, you know, there are a few tips for us parents in approaching our teens. Relationships have changed a lot since when maybe Yuko and I were kids, and there are a lot of different definitions about what a relationship can be. So I wanted to start with that. And whenever you're talking with your teen, it's really good to always listen very carefully, keep an open mind, try not to judge. You know, sometimes we're like, wow, what the hell? Who is this person? You know? So to keep an open mind, to listen carefully to what they're saying, to find a safe space. So a safe space can be whatever you agree upon. So maybe it's your living room, couch, maybe it's a coffee shop. So that's important. The setting is very important. So some of the new kinds of relationships that I have no idea about are, well, no, the first one is a committed relationship where you both say, we are in this together and we are committed to each other for an extended period of time. So for a teen, it could mean a couple of months, it could mean a year, it could mean beyond that. For teenagers, especially online, there's something about the status of that. You know, you tell your friends about this relationship. Maybe you post it on your social media. And there are very public displays of affection. That's committed. So the next one is casual. And this is at least two people who like each other, talk often, but don't want any labels attached to them. The third one is an open relationship. So this is like no strings attached, right? We don't want to label ourselves at all. So don't tell us who we are. It can be that maybe you want to date other people. So it's, you know, you have multiple partners, and that can mean sexual partners, romantic partners, but the agreement is that you're not cheating. So that is called an open relationship. Then there's something called hookups. Anybody know this? No? Okay. So this is often used with older youth. However, this can be used to define a kiss, having sex, or being with someone just once. So I think we used to call it a one-night stand, you know, back in the day. I don't know if that term is even used anymore. So that's a hookup. And then there's just friends. So this can be more than casual, but they don't want anybody to know about it. It usually involves some form of romance to make it more than your general friendship. Okay, so I just wanted, because that for me was very new. I had never heard about all these different kinds of relationships. So now I'd like to go online and share my screen with you guys. So this is a really wonderful website. It's called breakthecycle.org. And it really feels to me that it's geared towards young people. And that's why I chose it. There are many sites that deal with dating abuse, and I'll show you a few of those later. But this one feels really clear to me. So I'm going to go through some of the topics here. So what is dating abuse? It's also known as dating violence, intimate partner violence, or relationship abuse. And it's a pattern of abusive behaviors, usually over a course of time, used to exert power and control over a dating partner. Those are two key words, power and control. We're going to see how these things play out in all different kinds of ways. Every relationship is different, but the things that unhealthy and abusive relationships have in common are issues of power and control. So violent words and actions are tools an abusive partner uses to gain and maintain power and control power over their partner. So I want to just give you first a few statistics. 1 in 3 high school students experience either physical or sexual violence, or both, by someone they are dating. 1 in 3. Just take that in a minute. That's huge. There are a lot more statistics here, but I really would like to move on to the actual program. So what does dating abuse look like? So here are some of the forms of abuse. Physical abuse, which is any intentional use of physical force with the intent to cause fear or injury, like hitting, shoving, biting, strangling, kicking, or using a weapon. And there are more subtle forms as well that we're going to look at. We're going to look at a video right after we look at this. Verbal or emotional abuse, non-physical behaviors such as threats, insults, constant monitoring, humiliation, intimidation, isolation, or stalking. Sexual abuse, including rape, coercion, restricting access to birth control. Digital abuse, so intimidating or harassing or threatening somebody, like, for example, they might ask you for your password, they might check your cell phone calls, they might bully you in some way with your social media, they might send these sex texts. I think it's called sexting, actually. And then just threatening texts or stalking on social media. And then just basic stalking. So that this is more physical. It could be around your house. It could be online. Maybe they give you gifts you don't want. And then the last one is financial abuse. Somehow taking hold of a bank account, withdrawing money from it. Don't ever give your bank account numbers to a partner, especially if you don't know them well. Or maybe they'll tell you, don't take that job, don't spend your money in a certain way. All these are different forms of abuse. So I'm going to go to the video before I go into the more subtle forms. So these are teen dating abuse survivors. They're all women, but they all have different stories.
I was about 8 years old when I first met my ex-boyfriend. I was very young and we began dating when I was about 13. I think we can really call it dating, but we were boyfriend and girlfriend. I grew up in suburbia USA, so everyone in my high school knew everyone else's name. Out, started getting to know more people, and kind of had a crush on one of the popular boys. We met the summer after my freshman year when I was home, and at first he was so nice and amazing. He would always open doors for me, and he would call me all the time, kind of started to romance me, and started bringing me flowers. And I'm big romantic. I love chick flicks. I love flowers, and I love anything like that. So just the dream. Everything a girl could ever want. So we went to this party, we had a good time, he kind of saw me socializing. And it really bothered him to see me in a social setting, talking to other people and giving other people attention. We started going out a lot more, and I noticed that when he went out, he got really, really drunk. And when he got really, really drunk, he always wanted to get into fights. I mean, when we would walk down the hall holding hands, I felt more like I was being handcuffed because I worried about the guys I would talk to, and I worried about the people that I'd meet because I thought he's going to get mad at me for it. He's going to tense up about it. He started to say things. He was like, "You've gained weight. You need to lose weight. You are acting inappropriately. You're a liar. I know you're lying about things. I know there's things you've done that you don't want to tell me about, but I know there's things. I know there's something." I was losing weight like crazy because he was telling me all these things, and I was feeling depressed and everything. And it's not like it was all at once. So it's not like I really noticed it. But it was just little by little, he was completely just kind of like taking everything out of me. So without really knowing what was going on or where this was leading, I wound up getting myself stuck in this situation. And before I knew it, there was this act of violence all of a sudden. And he took me by the arm and he threw me to the ground. He was asking me these questions, squeezing my throat, sticking his finger down my throat. He dragged me down the stairwell of my apartment building. And I opened the car door, and I was dry heaving because of the pressure on my throat. And he pushed me up against the entryway hall and just slapped me across the face. Then I felt a foot on my back, and I went flying out of the car. He kicked me out of this moving car. He must have been going about 40 miles per hour. So I went flying out. I must have done a somersault, I felt like, in the air, fell, smacked my head against the asphalt, and saw white. I think I just realized it's one of those things where it's never going to be a happy situation. And it felt good to think of me and what was waiting best for me in my situation.
Yeah, so those are some of the more violent forms of abuse. And they're pretty powerful stories, as you can see. I wanted to also give you some examples of abuse that were a little more subtle. So here are a few scenarios. The first one is Amber wants to say hi to Chris, but Tommy, her boyfriend, won't let her. When Amber laughs off the jealousy, Tommy, whose hand she is holding, squeezes her hand hard. Amber tells Tommy to stop because he is hurting her, and Tommy responds, "Then maybe you should listen when I tell you something." So this is kind of like, I feel it's abuse, but it's also a warning sign, because you can just feel that this could escalate at any time. So the next one is emotional verbal abuse. Julia is really into fitness, but her partner Ty isn't. Every time Julia sees Ty, she makes hurtful comments about his weight and eating habits, like, "Are you sure you want to eat that?" Or, "Why don't you stop being a lazy slob and exercise? You're lucky to have someone as hot as me." I'm laughing because I know, I can be guilty sometimes of telling my partner, "You know what, do you really want to keep eating that ice cream every night?" Or have you put on weight? So I know how sensitive I am if someone says that to me. So this was a nice reminder for me as well to be sensitive to my partner, and that it's not just men abusing women. Women can be as abusive as men. So the next one is more about, I'm not going to read them all. The next one is about a guy kind of coercing a woman to get pregnant by throwing her birth control pills down the toilet. And then digital abuse is a big one. There's a lot of that. Monica and Tina, so this is a gay relationship, broke up last week, and Tina isn't taking it too well. She starts publicly posting the private pictures Monica sent her while away at 4-H camp because she wants Monica to hurt as much as she does. So this is one form of digital abuse. Okay, and then let's just go to the last one, financial abuse. Anna and Ramon have shared custody over their 1-year-old son, Brandon. Now this can happen to teens too, right? Sometimes there are children involved. Ramon regularly takes Anna's credit card without her permission and charges items until her card is maxed out. Anna has talked to Ramon, telling him that she doesn't want him making charges on her credit card, but he just responds saying he needs things and asking, "Don't you want me to be happy so I can be a good dad to our son?" So that it's financial abuse. It's also manipulation. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go to was, so what do we do? How do we have healthy relationships? Just show what's important in relationships. And I don't need to go through all of this with you because I think all of you understand this. So I'm just going to go through it quickly, and then I would like us to look at a safety plan that we can help our kids make, or we can show them how to make. So you can think of relationships like a cake. You know, the foundation would be open communication between partners. And then on top of that is trust, and that you're supporting one another. And then on top of that is boundaries. I wanted to look at boundaries a little more closely because that one can often get a little bit fuzzy. So each person has a right to decide what they're okay with in a relationship. This includes physical stuff, how often you talk to your partner, and whether you share your social media passwords. If you don't like when your partner texts and calls too much or doesn't give you alone time, you have the right to speak up. So that's just a couple of examples, but there's so many different examples around boundaries. So that's something to be really mindful of. And then fairness. So each person really needs to be willing to compromise and listen to the other person. Both opinions matter. And then the icing on the cake, or the candles on the cake, is freedom. You might spend a lot of time with your partner, but you also need your own space. Both partners should be able to have their own hobbies, likes, and outside friends. Always be yourself and know that you have the right to be free. The next thing I'd like to look at is consent. So consent is really someone giving their permission for all sexual contact that happens. It's freely given of a person's own free will and absent of pressure. It's agreeing and saying yes throughout the entire act. So here are some phrases that we think of. This is okay, yes, of course, all positive. So it doesn't sound like I'm not ready, no, not tonight, I'm not sure. If you say I'm not sure, that's not a yes. Okay, and sometimes a person can say no through body language by pushing away, not responding, moving around, looking down, or even not wanting to be alone with someone. Another important thing to note is that silence is not consent. If someone is quiet, stop and ask them if they're okay. That's really the only way we can know, is by asking someone, is this okay? And you need to get a clear yes before any other actions. And then boundaries. So here's an example of personal space. Noelle and Keith are on their 3rd date and things are going well. They are affectionate and hold hands while they walk around the movie theater. While in the movie, Keith puts his hand on Noelle's leg. She's okay with it, but starts to feel weird when he keeps moving his hand up. She moves away in her seat and nudges down his hand a little. Keith seems like he got the hint, but soon his hand is moving up again. Noelle likes him, but she's not sure how to tell him that she's not comfortable. So what would you do in this situation? I think, you know, as grown-ups, we have a little more understanding of what we would do, right? But Noelle tried giving nonverbal clues, which is great. She should let Keith know that she's not ready for him to take it to that level. She can do so quietly in the theater, or if she feels safe enough, she can grab his hand, move it down, and hold it, giving him another clue of the boundary she's creating. They should definitely verbally talk this out after the movie, too. She may not be comfortable, but it's important to speak up when things feel weird. Freedom and space. What can I say to someone if I need more space? So here are a few ideas. I want to do my own thing today. Let's plan something for tomorrow. Or I haven't finished my homework, yet. I'd like to do that this weekend. Or I like you, and I like spending time with you, but I also like my alone time. Or I need space. And then the last one is about arguing fairly. So this is, like sometimes we don't want any kind of conflict, so we avoid conflict. So these are ways that we can think about arguing in a fairer way. So listen before responding, try and stay calm. Empathy is always a really good tool, and that we've talked about that before, where you just kind of repeat what someone says so they feel heard, and that also calms them down. Express how it made you feel instead of blaming. Know when to walk away. Focus on the solution rather than the problem. Remember, it's okay to agree to disagree. And you can see on the right side the things that actually don't work. Yelling, threatening, name calling, things that are more violent, obviously. And so the last slide in this section that I wanted to share was, like, how do you break up with somebody if you're not into it? What do you do? So it doesn't matter if it's before, during, or after. Breaking up is tough. You may find yourself feeling unsure, emotional, and lonely. Don't worry, you can and will come out on the other side. So these are some tips that can help you through. Be honest with yourself about your feelings. You might even want to write down what you're feeling, like journal it a little bit so it becomes clear. Make a pros and cons list. And then during the relationship, make a safety plan, which is what we're going to do next. Let someone know what's happening. That's really important. And plan an exit strategy if you think you might be in danger. Be clear about your feelings. And then afterwards, allow yourself to feel. So you might be really sad, you might be super lonely, you might feel ashamed, you might feel, oh, he's such a great guy, I'm such an idiot for getting rid of him. Allow those feelings without judging them. That's hard, but it's really important. And then just do things for yourself, whatever you like to do. Maybe you like to jog or listen to music, hang out with friends to help you pass the time. Be careful with the foods though, because that could go overboard. Okay, so then I wanted to take a look. We don't have much time, so I'd like to take a look at the safety plan. But I thought this was a really nice plan. So, take note of this website, breakthecycle.org, because there's tons of information in it. And I'm not going to go through all this, but what I'd like to do is just show you the plan. So these can be printed from this website, and it's really important to have people that are trustworthy, like, so your parents obviously, but also maybe a school teacher or a counselor, a friend, a coach. And then Staying safe at school. What do I need to stay safe at school? How am I getting to and from school if there's an emergency? How do I get home safely? Do I have a friend that can escort me between classes? Where do I eat lunch? And then safety at home. Which family member is the safest that you can talk to about your relationship? And if nobody's home, can someone stay with you, like a friend? The safest way for me to leave my house in an emergency is, that's a good one, right? What do I do if I need to leave my house? And then other emergency information, what's a code word? We've talked about this a lot in other ways, but a code word, or you text a code to somebody, and that's an alert for, hey, this is abusive. And then staying safe emotionally. This is great because when we're down, we need some help, right? We're not going to sit there and say, oh, how am I feeling right now? Let me write it down. Maybe we are, but if you journal, that's great. But if you don't journal, this is just right there. You can have it in front of you and just know that it's something you can look at. My abusive partner often tries to make me feel bad about myself by saying or doing this. So if this is already written, it can be a reminder, or you can do it when you're feeling down. And it's a way to feel good about yourself as well. I will do things I enjoy. I will join clubs or organizations. And then, really important is having phone numbers, right? Having your 911 is obvious, but be careful with 911. That's really if you're being physically abused. Love is Respect is a hotline for teen dating violence specifically. There is also, by the way, it's National Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month right now in July. And so there is a number that you can text to if you are being violated in some way. And that number is 22522. So that's great, to tell your clients or for your kids or for whoever. I have less than a minute. So the last thing I'll end on is just a fun little chart. Let's hear a round of applause. If your partner does something great, appreciate. In healthy relationships, you get proud, not jealous. Compromise keeps your relationship on target. One person can't make all the decisions in a relationship, but we subscribe to gender role rules. Be someone that makes you want to dance. Find some support, find some bunny supportive of your dreams. And then lastly, how many seconds do I have? There are some resources. So breakthecycle.org is a wonderful website. Another is loveisrespect.org. It has amazing information. It's also for grown-ups. And then there is the CDC has an enormous amount of information, and they also have a program that you can incorporate and hold classes with.